welcome back to another episode of Frenchie's Forge. I am the Frenchman behind the camera. Thank you for tuning back in for another episode. I just got home from work, and right on my doorstep I found this little puppy. Tsubosan, made in Japan. It is a hardness testing kit. It's a 6-piece file set. You may be familiar with these. I am not. I've never owned a set, but just got this in the mail. And I really have been wanting these for a while, so I'm glad that I finally got them. I'd like to give a shout out to another YouTube channel, David Moon Forge. That is an excellent knife making channel, lots of great information, really well put together videos, and seems like a pretty solid dude. So I wanted to say thanks to him. He's the one who turned me on to these. He had a link in one of the videos that he just recently posted that sent me to these through Amazon, which he's also getting like a small kickback, I guess, which helps him, which is awesome. And what's really cool is I've been eyeballing these for the last 6 months. They've been pretty expensive, like, I don't know, 60, 70 bucks, maybe 80 bucks. But this one, I think, I can't remember, but I think it was like 55 bucks or something. So definitely the cheapest that I saw. And as soon as I hit his link and saw the price, I'm like, oh yeah, we're definitely doing this. So anyway, thanks to David Moon for that. Appreciate it, buddy. And I will try to leave a link to his thing right here. Hopefully that pops up. And anyway, if you don't have a set of this, please use that link there and go get yourself some. It'll help David, and it will help you figure out where your knives are landing on the hardness scale. So we're going to go ahead and open this sucker up and see what we got. I believe it has 6 different files ranging from 40 up to 65. Last episode we had quenched this, and this is a 15 and 20 blade that we quenched in Parks 50. We did some normalizing cycles, and I have not tempered it yet, really because I was just curious as to where it landed, which one of these files was going to scratch it. So I've been waiting a couple of days for these, but now that they're here, let's do some testing. I think we'll start out with probably the 55. I don't see any need to go any lower than that. And hopefully our quench went that well at least. So from what I understand, you just kind of use the little bent portion to run it over top of some of the metal, and I'm going to be running it over the top of this, which I have used a file and a bit of the belt to grind off just a tad bit of the decarb layer to get down to the hardened steel. So let's give it a go. Yeah, it seems to be skating right over top of that. Doesn't really seem to be biting or digging into the metal at all, so that's good. Let's go to the 60. This is the 60 HRC file. Let's try this one. Okay, so pretty much the exact same thing. Not a whole lot of bite, just not even really scratching the metal much. Well, let's go up to the next one, 65 HRC. Okay, so now I can kind of tell it's, yep, it's definitely wanting to bite in there, and you can see some scratches along this. Let me see if I can move the camera and get a good view of that. Let's see here if it will focus. Might be able to catch it in the right light. Yeah, maybe not, but you can take my word for it. There are a few scratches here where we just ran over this. And you can tell it kind of wants to bite a little bit, so I think it's safe to say that we're not quite 65 HRC, which I would be very surprised if this ran over this really easy. So I think, you know, just based on this quick test, I would say that we're somewhere in between 60 and 65. You know, this one skates fine. Now that I'm up close and looking at it, it might be biting a little bit, but maybe it's just the scratch marks from the 65. It doesn't really seem to be doing much. So yeah, I would say that you know, if I had to guess, I'd say maybe this is on the low end of 60, maybe 62, 61, something like that. So I think for this particular blade, we'll probably go ahead and temper it. We might do a pretty low heat, maybe like 350 for a couple hours, and then test it again and see if the 60 bites a little bit more. I really would like to have this blade at about 60. I feel like that would be a good number, maybe 59, 60, something like that. So yeah, so thanks again to David Moon Forge. Alright, so now that we have the blade in the oven tempering, I was really curious as to the last few knives that I did. I didn't have any way to test this one. This was a Sanmai blade that I made. This is 15 and 20 and 1080 for the core. And if you watch the first few episodes I made, we had a lot of trouble getting this one to etch correctly, but finally figured it out. So I'm really curious to see where this one is. We pretty much did the same heat treat process with this one. And we did, I think, 400 degrees for 2 hours twice, maybe once, I can't remember, but pretty much the same process I'm going to be doing on this knife. So yeah, let's grab the 60 and just run over a portion and see what it does. Yeah, so you can tell, let me see if I can get this to get a better shot here. You can tell putting this up here, it's really not doing much. It's not really scratching it. It's pretty much just skating right over top of it. So yeah, definitely I would say that this knife has got a Rockwell of more than 60. Let's try the 65. So there you go. Now we can tell we're starting to bite some. I don't want to scratch this up any more than I just did, but yeah, so I'd say it's safe to say that for a guy like me who is definitely new at this, I at least got something right. We got this knife to get hard. I have used this knife for the last 2 months or so. I use it a lot at work, and yeah, it's been a really good knife. The edge has held up pretty well. I haven't really touched up the edge at all, and it's, you know, it's doing pretty good. I would say that for one of my first knives, I mean, this isn't the very first one that I made, but I don't think I made more than 10 up to this point. I feel like I did a pretty good job for, you know, the limited amount of information that I had at the time. So, yeah, I know that it's not nearly as sharp as it was when I first did it, but, I mean, 2 months later, and it's still cutting paper pretty well, which is pretty awesome. I mean, I've cut a lot of stuff with this, a lot of rope, a lot of plastic banding material, and boxes, tape, you name it. I've used this a lot at work. So that's good to know. I feel like that makes me pretty happy because now I know that at least I'm doing something right. Here is knife number 5. I want to say this is the 5th knife I ever made. This is 1080 steel, or no, 1084. And we did a hamon on this one. Now, I didn't film any of this. This was kind of before I decided to start filming and making YouTube videos, but the hamon, you can kind of still see it, and at one point I did have this etched pretty well, and that was a whole journey in and of itself. But this one I feel like is incredibly hard because I have not touched this edge and since I've done it, and this one I know will slice paper really well. I used this one for maybe a month or two at work, and kind of the same thing, cutting the same stuff, and I just feel like this could probably shave hairs on my arm, and in fact it is. I don't know if you can see that or not. Probably see a lot of my dry skin, but you can also see some hairs coming off there. So yeah, I'm really proud of this one. This one was a really great success for me. Let me grab the 60 HRC file, and yeah, not even phasing it. Now this one, because of the hamon, we had some, I just used fireplace cement up here. And you can tell up there it's biting where it's softer, but down here on the hard stuff, yeah, not even phasing it. Let's try the 65 down here. Yeah, wow, that's it's scratching it a little bit, but you know, this knife is, I know it's probably rock hard down here. This one's probably my hardest one. I haven't even really had any problems with the edge chipping from being too hard or anything like that, but I also haven't chopped wood and done a lot of crazy stuff with it either. So yeah, like I said, this was one of the first ones that I did, and tried really hard to follow the directions of other people with the hamon. And anyway, yeah, just interested to see what the files did on both of those knives. So anyway, that's pretty cool. So there you have it. We're at the end of this particular episode. I'm glad that I got this. I think it's a great investment for someone like me, or knife makers in general. Just kind of a cheap and inexpensive way to get a ballpark idea of where your knives land on the Rockwell scale. Definitely use the link if you are interested in getting this. And I think it'd be a great addition to anybody making knives. In the next episode, we're going to be focusing on the Hidden Tang knife that I'm working on. We'll probably try to go over the bevels, grinding in the bevels and the swedge. And depending upon how far we get with that, we may also try to glue up the handle. We'll just see how it goes. But yeah, I just thought I'd make a quick video today going over this. And now I've got some other stuff to do, first of which you'll be going to do some dad stuff on the trampoline. I'm out of here. Thanks again, guys.